All right, what's up, everybody? I wanted to go over kind of something that I see, I don't know, maybe 2 to 4 times a week, right? And that question is, what do I need to do when I get to the range? What drill should I set up? And I'll be honest, man, every time I get these, I'm like, I have no idea, right? Especially if we haven't shot with each other. I don't know what you're trying to, I don't know what your goals are. I don't know what your like skill level is. I don't know what things you struggle with or are good at, things like that. So how do you know what to do when you go to the range? Like, how do you know what you should be working on? So I want to give you guys an example of kind of just that, right? So yesterday, me and a buddy had a short little stage set up here, and in the middle of the stage, there were 2 walls that were spread out apart, maybe 5-6 feet, something like that. In between that little 5 to 6 feet opening, we're trying to shoot 3 small steel on the move at about 15 yards. Now, this was giving me issues, and it's not giving me issues because that's outside of my wheelhouse. Like, I could totally shoot that steel if I'm doing, or if I'm shooting like I normally do, but I was making some errors on that. And so I wanted to go down to the range today and kind of address those things. But the key here is, like, I think if you are not doing things like paying close attention, like if I wasn't paying attention to what that felt like and what it looked like when I was not doing the things correctly on the steel, in other words, like missing the steel on the move, like I would have no clue what to work on, right? So like what I think people need to be doing in live fire, especially in live fire and in their dry fire, is observing what's happening. So when you observe what happens, you'll get a good idea of what your, what your typical behaviors are when you're shooting, or when you're dry firing for that matter. A good example of this is like very common behavior. Maybe it's a marksmanship one, right? Where like you press the trigger once, right? And as the gun is lifting, like you do something like overdrive, and then the second shot goes low left. And you only see this happen on like really fast splits. Well, that's you putting input into the gun, but you wouldn't notice that if you weren't doing things like trying to observe what happens and pay close attention. So you can try to change these behaviors and get better. Like, this is how you get better. This is definitely the shorter road to getting better, rather than just like taking a bucket of bullets to the range and just trying to hammer on these things, right? I mean, yes, sure, bring a bucket of bullets to the range and hammer on stuff, but like, pay close attention to what is actually happening. This is going to help you guys out a ton. So with that issue that I was having, 2 things that I noticed is because of the, well, we'll start with this first. What I noticed, like, is I was looking in basically the general direction of the steel, and I was not like picking a place to put a bullet on the steel. Like I just saw whole steel rather than like, nope, I want to put a bullet right there. And so I think the visual piece of this was missing, and that visual piece is super important, especially when you guys will, do things like shooting on the move. When you shoot on the move, the visual piece is even more important, because what you'll notice is if you just look in the general direction of the target, bullets will typically track in the direction that you move. One thing that you guys can do to test this theory is like pick a place. There's a little silver screw on the bottom of the tripod here. So like, I'll put my thumb over that, I'm staring at the screw, and my thumb is more or less like see-through, like it's transparent, right? If I take a couple steps and keep looking at that screw, like the thumb stays directly over top of that screw. Now, if I put my thumb over the screw, but stare at the thumbnail and take a couple of steps off to my left, what I notice is like the thumb just pulls straight off of the screw because my eyes aren't holding it on there. So like the visual piece when you're shooting on the move is like, you need to look where you want the bullets to go, and your eyes need to stay there long enough to make that happen. The second your eyes start pulling off of the target is when you see bullets kind of track in the direction of movement, typically. So all that being said, what I've got set up here is just kind of like a standardized drill that is going to allow me to isolate and focus on shooting steel on the move at 15 yards. So I've got track the A zone set up here. I'm going to start on that target, shoot the 2 mini poppers in the middle, and then finish on that paper on the outside. All the while just paying close attention to, hey, are my eyes staying on the target for as long as they need to make that hit happen? or am I just kind of looking in the general direction of the target? The other thing that I want to pay close attention to, because I felt this yesterday, I was moving my feet way too fast in that opening, and because of that, I was not allowing myself enough time to make the type of, you know, marksmanship happen, right? That first round hit, and like that's what we're looking for here. So I just want to make sure that my feet are not moving at a pace to where, you know, I get to like all the way over to here before I can actually start engaging that second target. And I see this barrel closing in. It's like, oh shit, I only have a tiny amount of time to shoot that. I just want to see what it's like to basically rate my feet through here and make the marksmanship happen. So go ahead and dry fire this a couple times, see what it looks like. I think definitely rating my feet through there, kind of stepping as softly as possible, like that's going to be key. As well as, you know, keeping my eyes on the target. Constantly hunting for the next spot. That looks really good. All right, let's go for it. Okay. It's really good. Felt like I shot kind of immediately, like as soon as I saw that spot on the steel that I was trying to hit. Okay, let's try it the other direction. Made that error again. It's like I didn't, kind of just looked in the general direction, which is why I had a couple makeups on that first steel. See if I can't make that correction. The other important thing to note is like when that stuff happens and like for instance, yesterday, I noticed that was an issue for me. So like, this is the first time I'm out here working on that. Like when that stuff happens, I wouldn't be like, oh, what I'm doing isn't working. Like, it's not the case. Like, it's going to take a little bit to like actually onboard the appropriate information to make that type of behavior go away and get better. Need to make my eyes a little bit more aggressive coming off of this paper onto the steel. It's interesting. It's like the second steel just going in that direction. I didn't feel that going in the opposite direction. See if I can make the correction with my eyes. Yes, there we go. Do it again. Try to like remember what that looked like and felt like. That's when these reps will start becoming very, very meaningful. Landed a little out of balance there at the end, but you guys get the idea, right? Like, I wouldn't know what I needed to work on if I wasn't paying very, very close attention to what my shooting was doing, what my grip's doing, what my vision is doing. How am I setting my feet down? Like, like try to pay close attention to these behaviors, especially the ones that you're trying to get better at. Like, this is how you know what to do when you get to the range. So hopefully this helps you guys out. And again, this was just an example. Like for me personally, it doesn't need to be like, I'm not saying, hey, go set up track the A zone with mini poppers at 15 and shoot steel on the move. Like, I'm not saying that. What I am saying though, is if you pay close attention to your training, this should key you into the things that you need to be working on, not only in your live fire, but in your dry fire as well. And this should also help you like make the most of your training instead of just going out and turning money into noise. So any questions, drop them in the comment box below. As always, happy to answer them for you.